You're listening to another episode of the Young Investors Podcast, so sit back and relax as myself, Brandon, and my buddy Hamish discuss the latest in the world of finance and stock market investing. Now, a quick reminder before we get into the podcast is that nothing in this podcast should be taken on as personal financial advice. If you're ever unsure about your finances or investing and you need some help, make sure you reach out to a qualified financial advisor. But with all that said, let's get into another episode of the Young Investors Podcast. Yo guys, welcome back. Wow, what a time to start a podcast, Hamish Hodder. Right
Amazing.
now, we are literally both watching the SpaceX stream for the Starship launch, and it's T-minus 40 seconds. So we're literally just sitting here watching this live stream. Potentially SpaceX is going to do the first launch of their massive new rocket, the Starship.
Yeah.
And you can witness our reactions live.
Yeah, I had no idea this was on. I saw a news article about when were they going to launch? But was it yesterday or?
I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. And I saw that they didn't launch, but I didn't know they were doing it again today. I'll be honest, I haven't been keeping up to date with these.
Man, it looks like they're about to go. T-minus 5 seconds. It looks like this might be the one.
Oh,
they're launching it. They're launching it, Hamish Hodder. It is off the pad.
there it goes.
Holy smokes, look at it go. Wow, they actually bloody launched it.
That thing is huge.
That is enormous. It looks like a bullet, but I guess it's supposed to. Obviously going through the air.
Wow.
Look at it go. The 3 engines blasting it up into the sky.
So what you were telling me just before we started recording, but what's the deal with this one? What's the plan with this particular launch?
This is very much a test. So this is just like they haven't got that. It's very bare bones. So I think they're trying to launch it up to about 12 to 15 kilometers or something.
Right.
But there's a couple of different things they're trying to test in this launch. The first thing is that, one, it gets off the ground, which they've now done. Look at it go, Hamish. Look at it go. It's amazing. And then this is the one where it's the re-entry is not going to come back down vertically. It's going to, like a parachuter, tip to its side and use its flaps to slow it down through the atmosphere.
Right. But the idea is that it lands without just being destroyed, right?
Yes, they are trying. They will try and land it. Yes,
okay.
Whether that actually happens or not,
Yeah.
we will have to see. Man, look at the engines,
Yeah.
moving around. What's it called when it does that? Like gyroscoping or something like that.
Gyrating. I don't know.
Yeah, gimbaling or whatever.
I
I don't know, but it's really interesting.
That's
Oh, fire! Or one of the engines maybe just went out. I think one of the engines might have just gone. Oh, there's a fire.
Is that? Yeah.
Is
there anybody in that at the moment?
Sorry?
Is there anybody in it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
No way. Oh, I think they just lost an engine. Yeah, that looks like there's only 2 engines firing now.
Yeah.
And there looks
It's
like
a fair
there's
bit of
smoke coming off it. This is so interesting. There you go. Sorry if you do not care at all for this and you're listening to us right now. But man, how interesting.
Yeah, the first time I saw one of their launches where I think they had 3 rockets that they launched, very small ones, and then they all landed back on the pads. That was just mind-blowing to me.
It's
just so impressive that they were able to do that, and it's so logical. That's kind of one of the drivers behind why space travel is so expensive, is because they build a rocket. Well, previously they build a rocket, they launch it, and then it's just wasted.
It's just gone.
Whereas if they can do more of what we do with airlines, where you don't just the plane doesn't just blow up after you do a one-way trip. It makes a lot of sense. You can actually get a fair bit of use out of it, believe it or not.
It's pretty smart.
It's
smart.
It's amazing to watch. It's just even though I feel like in a few decades that won't be impressive at all. It's like, yeah, they could land it.
Oh dear. Oh, I think they just lost their engines.
Yeah, second one's gone, I think. There's only
their
one.
second one just blew.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, well, I guess that's why this is just a test.
Yeah.
But it's still going. It's going on one engine. This is amazing. Sorry, yeah, like we say, sorry if you're not interested in this at all, but we'll probably just keep following this for a little while because it is so interesting watching this. Go and watch it. If you watch it along with us, we're at T plus 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, 51, 52, 53. So there you go.
So over on the SpaceX, it'll be on the SpaceX YouTube channel. It's still going up though.
Yeah, it's kind of.
How
is it still? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, how long is this going to go for? We might have to edit this down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
I wonder. So I guess it's over water, right? Is that what I'm seeing over that?
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? They can't really do it over land. That would be kind of risky.
Off the coast of Texas, I think this is.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Third one.
Oh, they're going to lose that third one. Man, it looks like it's going so slow, but in reality, it'd be hurtling through the sky.
Yeah. Oh, it's there's the third one.
Oh, yeah. I think they just lost it.
And it's going sideways.
Oh no, here it's gonna turn. Is it gonna try and do its landing? Oh, but if they lost their engines, then they're not going to be able to land it. Oh, that's something that I didn't factor in. There's a potential that potentially maybe they actually just cut off the engines to do testing, how it performed on 3 engines, 2 engines, and on 1 engine. But to be honest, I think what we're about to see is I think we're going to see it fly back like a parachuter towards Earth. And then I think they're going to hit the self-destruct button.
Yeah, it did not look like. That's what I was thinking as well. After the second one went, I was like, oh, maybe this is something that they test. But the first one just looked like it caught on fire. Like it did not look textbook at all. It looked like a fireball.
Yeah,
it didn't look good.
But look at it go. Look at it just sailing through the air. That's amazing. Who would have thought you'd see a rocket come back down to Earth like that?
Yeah, that's wild.
Anyway, I feel like it's going to be sailing for a fair while. Should we continue on and have this playing in the background?
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll keep checking back in on it, and we can come back if it's getting close to the ground.
All right, let's get into the sponsor stuff.
Yes, so today's episode is sponsored by Sharesight, and Sharesight is an application that I've been using for the past couple of years in order to track the performance of my stock portfolio. And the reason why I use it is because it's really good for keeping track of all of the different types of gains that you experience when you're buying shares in the stock market. So your capital gains, dividends. If you have dividend reinvestment plans, it will do all of those calculations for you, which is a lifesaver. Currency gains, if you're buying shares internationally or you hold foreign currencies. And of course, if you have stocks
Hamish, stop right there. Oh. They've fired up the engines again and it's flipped back. Holy smokes, is it going to land?
No, it exploded.
No, it blew up. No. Oh my gosh.
They almost...
Oh my gosh, Hamish, hold on, what did we just watch?
They almost did it, actually. It was going very fast.
They only had 2 engines lit at the end there.
So maybe that... okay, yeah.
Maybe they didn't have enough juice. They needed that third engine because at the end there, it was really... I thought it was just coasting, kind of like a glider or something, but it was really falling there at the end.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, SN8, forever in our hearts. But holy smokes, they got the engines fired up again and they corrected the rocket. They got it vertical again, but unfortunately, it just hit the ground pretty damn hard. But holy smokes, that was so cool.
That was crazy.
Oh my golly gosh. That was so cool to watch.
Amazing.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Anyway, I'll be interested to see what Elon comes up with as the explanation as to why it explodes. It's in a million pieces, excuse me.
Wonder how much that costs.
Yeah, it's probably better not to think about it because it probably costs a lot.
How much money did he just lose?
Yeah.
How many millions? Oh dear.
Anyway, all right, we better crack on.
Yeah,
Sharesight sponsoring the podcast as always. Thank you very much, Sharesight.
Sharesight.com.
I don't know where I interrupted you there.
Sharesight.com/young investors, and for every person who signs up, it equals one prayer to Elon and his and SpaceX. So
Exactly right.
If you want to be respectful to SpaceX, sign up to Sharesight. Sharesight.com/young investors. Get 4 months free.
33% off.
Yes.
That's right. If you sign up for a yearly subscription. Is that right?
Correct.
Nailed it. All right. What's our first news story today? What have we got? How about let's start with something happy and cheery. First patient in the UK receives the Pfizer vaccine. How cool is that?
Oh, wow.
The coronavirus vaccine is actually a thing now. We talked about it getting approved in the UK last week, and now it's being administered to people, and, people in the UK are becoming vaccinated for the coronavirus. How cool is that? Doesn't that make your 2020? It does for me.
Oh, it's good news. It's very good news.
It is good news.
It's a lot
fantastic.
sooner than I imagined. And I think a lot sooner than most people expected as well. I remember in sort of March, April, everyone was saying kind of look, a vaccine is, 2 years out. We're a long way from a vaccine. And then towards the end of the year, we kind of started to see that there was a number of front runners. And yeah, I mean, as I've said a couple of times, Bill Gates thought that, most of the front runners would fail in stage 3 trials, but they've both, or the two front runners, Moderna and the Pfizer one and the Oxford one, all of them are looking like they're going to pass. So it's really good news.
Well done. Yeah. It says here, a UK grandmother has become the first person in the world to be given the Pfizer COVID-19 jab as a part of a mass vaccination program. Margaret Keenan, who turns 91 next week, said the injection she received was the best early birthday present. It was the first of 800,000 doses of the Pfizer/BioNTech vaccine that will be dispensed in the coming weeks. Up to 4 million more are expected by the end of the month. Hubs in the UK are starting the rollout by vaccinating people over 80 and also some healthcare staff. So definitely makes sense. Senior NHS sources told the BBC thousands of vaccinations had taken place across the UK as early as Tuesday, dubbing the day V-Day. I love that. That's great. A tribute to the scientific endeavour and human ingenuity and to the hard work of so many people. Today marks the start of the fight back against our common enemy, the coronavirus. So anyway, thought I'd start us off with that one. How nice is that?
That's beautiful. I'll chuck in my my vaccine news as well, because I've only got a couple of lines of it, so we'll put it all together. But Canada gave approval to the Pfizer vaccine. So they've got approval, and the FDA started to look in the US. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has started to look at the vaccine, and they released a peer-reviewed study, which was all pretty positive, and it looks like they're going to approve the vaccine over the next couple of days.
Nice.
Lots of all-round good news for the vaccine. Also, today, DoorDash had their IPO. I didn't even know this was happening.
DoorDash.
Did you?
No.
Yeah, so...
didn't know that at all.
Yeah, so...
What is DoorDash? I've not looked into it. I imagine it's like a food delivery or something.
Yeah, exactly. Very much like Uber Eats or Grubhub or Postmates.
Right, okay.
They had their IPO just today on Thursday. So that's something I didn't know was happening. The company was founded in 2013 by 3 people, Tony Zhu, Andy Fang, and Stanley Tang. And I didn't know that much about DoorDash because it's not one of the bigger ones in Australia, but apparently it has 50% market share in the US.
Wow.
And actually has a higher market share than Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Postmates, which now is owned by Uber Eats, though.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, so here...
it must just not be a thing here. Maybe it is a thing here and I've just not used it. I don't know.
It is a thing here. It's just not one that's very popular, I think. Do you ever order delivery food?
Yeah, but I always just use Uber Eats, to be honest.
Me too. I think Uber Eats is probably the biggest in Australia at the moment.
I
Uber Eats
so.
and Menulog. Menulog's pretty big.
Have you seen the DoorDash logo?
No, haven't.
Have a look at it. Just type in DoorDash and it'll come up. It kind of looks like the Greater Western Sydney Giants.
It does do.
Logo, just backwards.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It looks like exactly the same. It's like the Giants G, the orange G, just flipped around the other way.
That's funny as. Stolen.
Yeah. Stolen.
No, that's
Guys, we need to save money on our on our logo design. Just take an established logo and just flip it. No, to be honest, the DoorDash. Oh no, 2013. What was first, the Giants or DoorDash?
Must have
Who
been
knows?
DoorDash.
I don't know. The Giants been around for a while. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Maybe. Yeah,
no
probably
idea.
DoorDash. Probably DoorDash. Anyway, so there you go. So a brand new IPO, big company, big market share in the US. Maybe one that I should probably study up on a little bit more because I just had no idea about this stock.
Yeah, I didn't either. Now the stock IPO'd, and it's not a small IPO. The stock's publicly valued at $66 billion.
Wow.
Which
that's
is
huge.
crazy, right? And I was like, I wanted to compare it to something. And the closest comparison is Uber, although Uber, of course, includes their normal rideshare app, which you would imagine is most of their business, and Uber Eats. But Uber is valued at about $100 billion. So you would imagine...
Okay, total.
Yes, total. So you would imagine that, if you just took the Uber Eats part, that it would be valued smaller than DoorDash at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is pretty crazy. Pretty
There you
crazy
go.
stuff. Yeah.
That's imagine you just take your company public and then a few weeks later it's valued at $66 billion. Oh,
it's wild.
Wowee.
Yeah. I have one experience with DoorDash and it wasn't good. So my
really?
opinion of them isn't great. Yeah, I got an ad for them saying, you get free delivery when you sign up or whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to use it. We ordered from this Vietnamese place, waited half an hour, and the driver calls and says, oh, we're at the restaurant and they don't have your order. And I said, oh, okay, I'll call the restaurant. Call the restaurant. And I say, hey, just ordered on DoorDash. And they go, we don't take orders from DoorDash.
What the what?
I was like, well, where's my money?
Yeah. Has my money just evaporated? That's cool. That's
so
very questionable.
I don't know. I think I'd probably blame the restaurant more for that than DoorDash because clearly the restaurant had signed up and then just kind of forgotten about that it was active on there. But
so, I wonder how many people that would have happened to then if they signed up for DoorDash and then they're like, oh no, we don't accept. What happens? They get the orders coming through and then they just take the receipts and throw them in the bin. So, we'll keep your money, but we're not giving you our food. Yeah. So what the heck?
So strange. So strange.
How bizarre.
Yeah. But
how bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, damn, that's a bad experience. The worst experience I've had was just Uber Eats, just dropping off my food to the wrong place.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Because where I live, we're like unit number this of this address. So many times they think the unit number is the street number, and then they think the street number is the unit number. So it just never works out. I don't know. And likewise, like I don't understand. Like surely people that do these sort of delivery jobs should understand how addresses work. But there are so many where we get mail from the opposite of our address. So they've said the street number is the unit number and the unit number is the street number. So it's like, oh my gosh, guys, come on.
Yeah, that is annoying. Fortunately, in my apartment, the apartment number is really low and the street number is really high. So you can't really get confused.
You can't mess it up.
You'd have to be pretty silly to think that the address number was the apartment number. But yeah. Struggles of living in an apartment or a townhouse. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's interesting because both of our numbers are kind of lowish double digits, so that's probably why you can get the confusion. Anyway, I've lost a couple. I've actually lost a couple of things in the post to delivery problems, like people just delivering it to the wrong address. I get so frustrated when that happens because then you call up like Australia Post and you're like, hey, my package got delivered to the wrong address, and they're like, oh, let us check, and then they check, and it's like, oh, it says that it was delivered, and says it was delivered to your address, so there's nothing we can do about it. Sorry. It's like, yeah, I know it says it's delivered, and I know that the dude thought he was delivering it to my address, but he didn't deliver it to my address.
Terrible.
So, oh, sorry, nothing we can do now that was said it's been delivered. That's up to you from now. It's like far out. God, there's a fair room for improvement, I feel like, in post.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe someone could step up to the plate and offer actually a good service, and they do quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's anyway, so true.
Bit of rambling. Hey, moving on. last week we're talking about Michael Burry, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how he was shorting Tesla, right? Anyway, went on to make a video about it, and now all of the comments on that video are that nobody can find that tweet anymore. And sure enough, he's deleted his tweet. So, and he deleted it after about like a day of posting that he was shorting Tesla. So I'm like, what does this mean? You know, do you reckon that this is he still short and he's just deleted the tweet because he doesn't want to cop all of the backlash from all of the the pro Tesla crowd? Or maybe he's deleted it because he's changed his mind and maybe he's not short anymore. It's like quite interesting. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really strange. Why would he delete it? Maybe he's no longer short and he had to delete it. I don't know. But
yeah, maybe.
You would imagine why would he be no longer short one day later that he posted it?
Yeah, exactly right. Maybe it's a quick change of mind.
Yeah.
Maybe he just deleted it because he didn't want all of the Tesla people on his Facebook or on his Twitter page just giving him stick for it, you know?
Yeah, that's probably the most likely outcome. Yeah. He probably underestimated how many people are going to message him and bombard him on all social medias about that.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Like even with the YouTube video that I made with YouTube, it kind of pays to be a little bit controversial or talk about something where there are strong opinions for and against. Like in terms of views, those videos tend to do quite well. But at the same time, you have to be prepared for what you're going to cop in the comments, because I made a video where I kind of explained the two sides of the equation, why, you know, personally, I would never short Tesla, but I also explained the reasoning why Michael Burry probably did decide to short Tesla.
Yeah.
And you know, when you do that, you just can't win, can you?
Yeah.
Because you're going to get people from both sides saying, you know, commenting on the other side of the equation. So it's really interesting that, you know, half the people on that video were like, yeah, absolutely, Tesla for where it is right now is so overvalued. And if he's just making a bet against the stock price with the PE at like 1,200, then fair enough. And then you get the other ones, which is just like, oh, Michael Burry, he's not seeing the long term. Well, of course he's not, because he's shorting the stock in the short term. I don't think he's going to hold the short for the next 5 years. He's like, oh, you need to know that Tesla's more than a car company and this and that. So it's really interesting hearing the two sides of the equation and people just battling it out in the comments section.
Yeah, it's interesting that those videos do so well just because of the high level of engagement. It's
exactly.
YouTube just kind of looks at the data and sees, okay, a lot of people commenting. There's a lot of people disliking and liking. There's going to be more people, you know, sending this to someone saying, hey, check this out.
Yeah,
look
exactly.
what this idiot said, or you know, like,
or look at what this genius said.
Yeah, exactly. Like both sides of it. Yeah, so it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see stuff like that.
Man, what a world we live in, the YouTube world.
Yeah,
it is interesting. It's so interesting trying to like experiment and figure out the whole system and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, it's no surprise that people get sucked into doing a ton of clickbait and you know, just sparking controversy just because it works. So it's easy to get led down that path.
Maybe we should just spark up some controversy one time.
Yeah, we did say that once. We should just pretend that we're
I feel like we did. Maybe on like April Fool's next year, we can start beefing. We can just have a massive argument about something. Maybe one of us can turn into a Bitcoin bull.
Yeah.
And that can send a shockwave through our friendship. Yeah, that's we'll put a sticky note on that. I'll leave that one on my computer here. Remind myself. Hey Google, remind me on April Fool's next year to start a beef with Hamish. All right, thank you. Done.
Oh dear.
What's next? What do we got? What else we got to talk about?
Facebook made an acquisition this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
A little bit under the radar because of how big Facebook is and how small this business is that they acquired. But they acquired a company called Customer with a K for $1 billion.
Just to be different?
Yeah, just to be a little bit different, you know.
Customer with a K.
Well, they're a customer relationship management company. So it must have taken them a long time to come up with that name. Customer. Is customer taken? Yes. Okay. Customer with a K? No. Okay.
No, that's not taken because no one would ever do. Oh, we should. Anyway.
No, so yeah, they acquired the company for $1 billion, and it's actually the third biggest acquisition that Facebook's ever made, which I didn't know. So it was a slightly bigger acquisition than Instagram. I think it topped out.
Oh, of
Instagram
course. I was trying to think just that. What are the other acquisitions? Of course, Instagram was an acquisition.
Yeah.
What else? What would be the biggest one?
They WhatsApp.
See, what did they start? Did they acquire WhatsApp too?
Yeah, so they acquired WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp was the biggest, $19 billion in 2014.
Right.
So that's
Instagram, WhatsApp. There you go.
Yeah.
And then I imagine, what's that virtual reality one that they have?
Oculus. Yeah, I don't
Oculus,
know how
that
much
would have been maybe a small one.
You would imagine that was fairly small. It's quite a small business.
Well, it contributes like basically nothing to their revenue. So
yeah,
I imagine they wouldn't have paid very much for it. Anyway, sorry, back on customer with a K.
Yeah, customer with a K. So they acquired them for $1 billion. And as I said, they're a customer relationship management company. So basically the idea behind it is it helps businesses with their customer service. So kind of organize their service and relationships with clients and customers. And it kind of, at the moment, it's kind of unclear, I think, how they're going to use this business. They haven't sort of released any information or statements about, what's their intentions with this. But I was reading a Bloomberg article that kind of pieced together some of their past moves or some of their moves over the past couple of years and has sort of provided an opinion about why they've made this acquisition. So as we mentioned, and basically in that article, they suggested that they're pushing more into WhatsApp, and they're also pushing into the Indian market, basically into the India market as a way of diversifying their business. So this is their reasoning behind that. They think that, well, first of all, Facebook bought WhatsApp in 2014 for $19 billion. And WhatsApp actually has more monthly active users than Facebook in India. So WhatsApp's bigger than Facebook in India, which kind of makes sense why they would want to lean on WhatsApp if they're trying to generate revenue in that space. And currently WhatsApp has 400 million monthly active users in India.
Wow, that's quite a few.
Which is a lot. How many?
India is going to be such a big growth driver. I feel like for a lot of businesses into the future, I feel like India is still so it's got so much untapped potential,
Yeah.
There are just so many people, especially if you have a product or service like Facebook or WhatsApp where, it is applicable where it could literally be used by anyone, then far out. I think more companies should. That's what Disney did when they acquired that. Man, I can't even remember what the name of that.
Hotstar.
Yeah, Hotstar, that's right. And it's just like explosive growth in India. Facebook, WhatsApp, explosive growth in India. I feel like that'll become a trend.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of people, I feel like everyone's just been focused on China. Oh, we got to expand into China. But I feel like eventually India, there are so many people living in India. Anyway, sorry, that's a bit of a tangent.
No, it's very fascinating. I can't remember the stats specifically, but I think in India there was about 200 or 300 million people who just got onto the internet for the first time in the past 5 years or something. Those are approximate numbers. It was around that. So there's an insane amount of people just coming online for the first time. And if you're an internet business that is very much saturated in a lot of other places around the world, or they're banned in an area so they can't expand into China, for example, then these are the areas that they're going to be looking to expand. And Facebook's made a number of moves in India. This year, they invested $5.7 billion into Jio platforms, which is the biggest telecommunications company in India. And that's basically going to be a partnership that will allow Facebook and WhatsApp to access those the customers from that telecommunications business. So again, just a way of accessing and expanding WhatsApp into India.
Yeah, and getting more people to use it. Yeah, it's insane.
And the last thing is just that I didn't really know this, but there are a lot of businesses in India that use WhatsApp as their main customer service and communications. So a lot of businesses use WhatsApp as customer service. So the article was suggesting, or the person who wrote the article was suggesting that customer, with a K, could be a way for Facebook to monetize WhatsApp. So by allowing businesses, rather than just using the basic messaging app within it, they could maybe pay to use a service like Customer within WhatsApp to actually provide a proper customer service sort of systems in place.
Kind of use the two together to actually create almost like WhatsApp for business,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Have a platform for customer service, like a proper structured program.
Yeah, and you could imagine the same thing could be true for Instagram. For example, if you have a business on Instagram, then maybe you can pay a little bit extra and customers can access customer support directly through your Instagram page. And you can kind of have it all nicely integrated in there rather than having to set it all up yourself elsewhere, if that makes sense. So very interesting. Again, we don't really know how they're going to use it, but it kind of makes sense, and it kind of goes with the trend of Facebook pushing more into payments and pushing more into the helping businesses grow on their platforms, which seems to be their way of diversifying away from advertising, which has been their main business from the beginning.
Yeah, very interesting. Lots of potential growth avenues for Facebook in the future.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting stuff going on. I quite like keeping up to speed with Facebook. I find it quite an interesting company. It's just such a behemoth. It's just such a powerhouse. It's one of those companies where they could just basically do whatever they wanted. You know, if they wanted to try doing this, then they've got the money. They could give it a go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they have access to most people around the world, which not many companies have that. So even if they want to try something completely that would, kind of seems completely out of brand for Facebook, they have a customer base that they can sell it to. That's pretty much the entire world. So
as long as they can find some way of integrating it into their pre-existing kind of ecosystem, then they should be able to really give anything a red hot crack. Exactly from what you're saying is they've got the access to those people. How many billions of daily or monthly active users? Like 2.5 billion monthly active users,
something like that. Yeah,
just insane. Anyway, but we'll have to see what comes of this acquisition, see what they intend to use customer with a K for. customerwithak.com. All right, let's move on to...
What have we got?
I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to talk a little bit more about potentially Warren Buffett and Tesla? Or would you rather talk about Australia's greatest test batsman, Sir Donald Bradman? One or the other.
Let's go with Tesla, actually, because
let's go with Tesla.
I was just the way that you introduced that second story. feels disrespectful me turning that down, but
Hamish is like, man, I flippin' hate cricket.
Look, I don't hate cricket. I'm just more interested to hear about what you're about to talk about with Buffett and Tesla.
Well, there's been recently, and I am a little bit late to the party on this one because this was happening a week or two ago. There is a lot of speculation that Warren Buffett, have you heard of him?
Who is he again? Was he?
I'm not quite sure. I think he's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, most successful investor in the whole world. But there is some speculation that Mr. Warren Buffett is buying Tesla stock. Oh. And I would quite like to read you this little explanation and get your opinion on it, Mr. Hamish Hodder. So this was first identified by someone called Frank Peelin, and he went on a bit of a tweet storm discussing how this could actually potentially be a thing, because what they found is that they looked at all of the institutional ownership in Tesla's latest 13F or whatever it was, and they found he found a reduction in 87 million shares from the institutional investors in Q3. 87 million shares. Then they raised capital as well. Tesla raised capital in that quarter, which added about 10 million more shares. So they're looking from quarter to quarter and they're saying, where did these 97 million institutional investors' shares go? Because at the time when this story came out, it equated to about $40 billion, which many people argued is just like too much for retail investors to absorb in that space of time.
Okay.
Because that's where my brain immediately went. They were just like, oh, well, if it's not with the if it's not with the institutional investors, rather, it's just with the retail shareholders. But apparently it's just too large of a sum to actually get into retail investors' hands. Anyway, then they found out that at the time Vanguard had not yet published their 13F, which then brought the missing share count from 97 million down to about 60 million. Mm-hmm. And then the interesting thing is that what happened next was Business Insider came out with an article that noted in the 13F filing for Berkshire Hathaway, they included a line that said confidential information has been omitted from the public Form 13F and filed separately with the SEC.
Ooh.
So what this means is that it probably means that Warren Buffett, or I should just say Berkshire Hathaway, are trying to form a substantial position in a public company, and because Berkshire Hathaway is so big and they're trying to move billions and billions, they do have to move quite slowly. And what they do is, because of the Buffett effect, where as soon as people know what Buffett's buying, they just buy into it blindly, and that actually spikes the share price of a lot of these companies that he wants to buy into. Because he has to buy slowly, the SEC actually gives Buffett, in some instances, preferential treatment where they say, we won't, if you're trying to form a large position in a company right now, you need to tell us, the SEC, what you're doing as a part of the 13F. But what we'll do is we will omit that information from the public SEC release, from the public 13F release, and then we'll update the public later once you feel like you've gotten your position formed. So naturally, people are just jumping and putting two and two together, and they think that, well, obviously there is at least the potential that Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway could be forming quite a large position in Tesla, judging by the fact that there's confidential information being held back on Berkshire Hathaway's end, and there's also, 60 million shares which have disappeared from institutional ownership on Tesla's end. So I made a video about it. I don't know how much I buy into it. And I should say that most of this information that I just spoke about, I got from Tesla Daily's video on this, Rob Maurer. I definitely encourage you guys to go over to his YouTube channel and check it out, because he goes into way more depth than what I just explained. And this is actually where I first learned about it. So tip of the hat definitely to Rob Maurer at Tesla Daily. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think this is a potential? Do you feel, personally, I feel like Warren Buffett would not buy into Tesla. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, it's wow. Yeah, it's really fascinating. The fact that Berkshire has that line that says confidential information has been omitted is obviously very exciting in of itself, because it probably means that he's buying at least something that may be substantial. Otherwise, why would he seek special treatment unless it was going to be a really big investment? So that's kind of exciting in of itself. I don't know too much about the missing shares. I guess neither, to be honest. I guess like a big part of that argument is based on the idea that the 60 million could not possibly be from going to retail investors. That is a bit where I'm disconnected. Like, I don't know if it's just impossible because of like how many people would have to be buying the stock, or what the numbers would actually have to be, or maybe it's possible but it's just unlikely. That bit I don't know. And in terms of whether I would think Buffett is buying Tesla, I'd like to think that he wouldn't be at current valuations. But I don't know.
That's the main roadblock that I see. I made a video about it the other day, and I actually spoke about the reasons why Warren Buffett might consider Tesla stock. And the reasons that I highlighted is that a lot of what Tesla is doing has the potential to disrupt a portion of Berkshire Hathaway's business at some stage into the future. Like, you think about the three segments of Berkshire Hathaway. There's Berkshire Hathaway Insurance, and of course, Tesla are coming out with this revolutionary new insurance product where, they actually understand how hard you drive your car and can offer you a tailored auto insurance product based on your driving pattern specifically. Then, so that has the potential to disrupt, standard insurance policies where, they don't know how hard you're pushing the accelerator. They just ask you, how old are you? Where do you live? Are you a boy or a girl? That sort of stuff. And then the second thing is they've got Berkshire Hathaway Railroad, their railroad business, which could be potentially disrupted by the Tesla semi-truck, because what they actually announced in the 2017 Tesla Semi unveil is that the Tesla semi-trucks in a convoy situation are actually more economical than rail.
Wow.
Which is pretty insane. So that there's a potential there. Of course, we don't know whether that will actually turn out in reality, but there's a potential there.
Yeah.
And then the third potential is Berkshire Hathaway Energy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Tesla are working on their 4680 cell, which they're going to ramp up production on, and that's going to go into power walls. It's going to go into grid storage, into the mega packs. We already know that they make their own solar panels. So could there be a time 10, 20 years in the future where Tesla just decides to start their own energy provider company? Instead of Berkshire Hathaway Energy, Tesla does the same. They make Tesla Energy, and they're literally, people buy their power from Tesla. So the way I see it is that there is a couple of situations where Berkshire Hathaway, to differing extents, could potentially be disrupted in their wholly owned businesses by Tesla. So I think there is a case there that in Warren Buffett owning Tesla, he kind of de-risks that potential a little bit. But then we go back to what you were saying before, valuation, current value. I mean, Warren Buffett's not the kind of person that's going to overpay for something now in the hope that in 10 years the business grows to meet that overvaluation that we see right now. He doesn't really think like that, does he?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. I mean, certainly it could be the case that Tesla reduces the profitability of Berkshire over time, and it's also like at the same time as Tesla being a bad investment for Berkshire. Because it's really expensive. Like, I think both of those things could be true. Like, Tesla could still, like, I still think Tesla could be a much huger company than it would have to be a much larger company than it is today. And, you know, its stock price could just not move because of how expensive it is at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know though. Like, it's not an area that I understand very well. So I always kind of say that, you know, it looks expensive, but that's from someone who doesn't understand the business very well. And there will be people that say, even at current prices, it's not expensive, or that it's not as expensive as I'm seeing it. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll kind of see what happens, I guess.
The way I think about it with Tesla stock is like, it's like me and you were starting in a running race, right? And I'm Tesla stock and you're Tesla business, right? And the way I see it is that we're both of same physical fitness, right? Except my strategy is that when we start the running race, I'm going to sprint 400 meters and then walk for 200 meters. Whereas you're just going to run 600 meters just slowly on the jog.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the way to think about it. What's happening at the moment is that, you know, me and Hamish, we're both going to get to the finish line potentially at the same time because we're both of same physical capacity. It's just that I've shot out into the way out into the future.
Yeah.
Whereas Hamish being Tesla's business is kind of just slowly increasing in value over time.
That's a really good way of explaining it. That's a really good way of explaining it.
That analogy.
No, I like it. I think that's really good. And then both.
That's what I see happening. Whereas other people see that, Tesla stock is, with more positives coming out of Tesla's business, Tesla stock is just going to keep going and going and going further and further and further. But I feel like that, like what Charlie and Warren say, there is a limit to how much investors are willing to pay for the cash flows of a particular business.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some people who think that you'll be out front, sprint out front, and then you'll just keep running past the finish line and that the business never has to catch up. But it does. The business has to catch up because at the end of the day, you're only buying it. You're only willing to pay based on what you're going to get back. So if you're willing to pay to the moon and then the moon doesn't come, then you're not going to hold that stock anymore and it's all going to come back down. So yeah, that's exactly right. It's a strange argument when people think that stocks can just stay overvalued forever and that, we're in this new environment where business valuations don't matter or cash flow doesn't matter anymore. It's
totally not true.
It's not true.
I mean, you're an investor. You have to do your maths and figure out what are you going to get from this deal. It's like for so many people that are currently investing right now, I wish I could, I wish I could sell them something because I could spin them a fantastic non-deal and they'd probably accept it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I've got this nice, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit here in Canberra. It's a fantastic place to live. How about you pay $8 million for it? Oh, okay, sure. If you rented out this beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment for the rest of your life, it would only generate you about $2 million worth of cash flow. But for you, sir, I'm offering it to you for $8 million. Deal.
Maybe I can sell it to the next guy for 12.
Yeah, exactly right. Geez, now we're drifting into Bitcoin territory.
Yeah.
Did I just say that? We
can't talk about Bitcoin and Tesla in the same podcast. It's too controversial.
That's yeah. You actually, Spotify's got new rules and regulations that if you talk about those two things in the same podcast, they delete your podcast. Yeah. So you better not go there.
Gotta be careful.
But one thing we can talk about. Sir Donald Bradman's first baggy green cap is up for auction.
We're back at eBay news, are we? Auction news.
This is actually I put this in, but usually I wouldn't put in a story like this because it's not particularly relevant. But I thought this was really quite interesting. There's actually quite a funny story behind it. So it says here, sales of Bradman memorabilia usually catch the eye of cricket tragics, but one of the batting legend's most significant former possessions is currently generating interest in unusual quarters. So Donald Bradman's first baggy green cap, which he donned as a test debutant in 1928, will on Thursday go up for auction. So today, there you go. Is today Thursday? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Will go up for auction online and is tipped to fetch as much as $2 million. The week-long auction will be followed closely by, get this, creditors of former accountant and convicted fraudster Peter Dunham, who was gifted the cap when he was a young neighbour of Bradman, but he is currently in prison.
Hang on a second. This isn't a fake hat.
He went to prison. Earlier this year, Dunham was sentenced to at least 4.5 years in jail for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from clients. So he's gone to prison for business matters. Okay, but it's just so happened that when he was younger and he lived next to Don Bradman gifted him his first baggy green, which in hindsight, Don Bradman in the sky is probably like, God damn, why did I do that? But what's interesting is that this Dunham guy, he currently owes more than 40. No, he owes money to 40 creditors. They are owed about $7 million in total, which is where the money will be going.
That's brilliant.
That's pretty funny. So it's not like this guy in prison is just going to get to keep the $2 million this cap's going to sell for. It just goes straight to his creditors, which is pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
But one thing I found interesting, which I was just reading about in the article, is that the cap cannot leave Australia because it's covered by the Federal Protection of Movable Cultural Heritage Act. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
Wow.
I didn't know that, you could be a collector and you could buy something and depending on where you are in the world, you may not be able to take possession of it in your home country.
That's a bit weird.
Because it is a bit weird, isn't it? I feel like if you buy something, you should. But then again, there is an argument there for Australian cultural heritage. Something like Don Bradman's baggy green, that's probably quite significant in terms of Australian history and culture.
Yeah, I guess so.
Isn't that a funny story? It's just like everyone tuning in. It's just like all these bank representatives are going to be tuning in to the auction of. It's like there'll be like 3 cricket tragics that'll be bidding for this cap, and then everyone watching will just be like creditors that have loaned money to this Peter Dunham guy.
Yeah, this is what you buy when you have too much money and you're bored.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. His first baggy green's up for auction. I'll take one of those. Yeah. Put it next to his bat. Signed bat.
Yeah. Put it next to, what was it? What did he used to do the golf ball and a cricket stump? Isn't that the story with Don Bradman, how he got so good with his hand-eye coordination? He used to have this corrugated iron like water tank in his backyard, and he used to chuck a golf ball up against it, which would ping it in all directions, and then he'd hit it back onto the water tank with a cricket stump. I think something like that.
Amazing.
Anyway, amazing. 99.94 average.
So close.
What a guy. What a legend. Interestingly, he used to live back when he was still with us. He lived in Adelaide,
Right.
And his house used to be next to, I think, one of the major high schools in Adelaide, which my mum used to teach at. So there would be days where Don would be in his backyard and some of the students of this school would just be able to go and, have a chat to him over his back fence. I mean, how cool would that have been? That would have been
That's crazy.
So cool. Yeah, I would have loved that. I'm a big fan of the cricket. But anyway.
Have you been watching the cricket? I
don't get super, invested in it like what I do AFL, but I like to have it on definitely, and I watch like some of the T20s. I tried to go to the 2 games at Manuka Oval, but get this, I know we're getting so off track now, but I think that's basically all we've got to talk about. So if you don't care too much about cricket chat, then feel free to switch off now. But there were two games at Manuka Oval, and we tried to get tickets. The tickets went on sale at 9:00 in the morning, and we were on there at 8:58. We were being held in the Ticketek lobby. Anyway, long story short, we finally got through to the website at 9:03, and by that time, every single ticket that was available had been sold for both games.
Wow,
couldn't believe
everyone's keen to get out and about.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. 3 minutes, and boom, all the tickets were sold.
It's crazy.
Very crazy. Anyway, so that was my bad luck story for the week, but still watched it on TV. It was actually handy that we didn't go in the end because we lost both games.
Well, perfect. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's great.
Have we got any more news stories? I don't know. I think that might just be about it.
I think that's just about it.
Yeah. I had this funny little one here. I just put this in because it was so funny when I saw it. Woman tries to sue boyfriend of 8 years for not proposing yet. How funny is that? Literally, this woman went to court because her boyfriend had not proposed to her. It says here, a woman who had been dating her partner for 8 years had enough of waiting for him to propose after he had promised that he would do it one day. So she decided to take him to court over it, deciding she had waited long enough for the ring on her finger. Because the pair are unmarried, the Zambian court couldn't do much and told the couple to sort out their differences outside of the court. I mean, it's a total non-story, but when you see something like that, like actually published on a news site, you're like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And it's also funny because it's like, how desperate do you have to be as a news site to publish a story like that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a non-story, isn't it? Yeah. Imagine the court's just like, all right, the court compels you to get married.
It's like
like what?
We have ruled that you must propose to your girlfriend
right now,
or 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. But it's kind of funny. What a non-story. But I guess sometimes I wonder with news sites because it's like, this is such a stupid story, yet I still clicked on it. So I guess they got me. They got me. Anyway,
I've seen a lot of stories like that from Channel 7 and 9 recently. Just absolute non-stories, and just like
clickbait title that turns into absolutely nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the Daily Mail way.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? The Daily Mail. Jeez, what a joke. Anyway, do you want to do Q&A today? I feel like we should devote Q&A because we're already at over 50 minutes, approaching 55 minutes. Do you want to save Q&A? Because we're going to record a special Q&A video for over Christmas because we're going to have a week off the podcast, but we still want to get some content to you guys. So do you want to just maybe we'll save the Q&A for our next podcast?
Definitely.
You want to do that?
We'll save it. And
right, cool.
if you have any other questions or news topics or anything at all that you want us to discuss during that Q&A special, then make sure you head over to the YouTube version of the podcast at youtube.com/The Young Investors Podcast. You can click on the latest episode and then just leave your questions, topics, or anything like that at all, feedback, anything at all, as a comment on that video. And we've already got quite a lot, but we'll hopefully we can get a few more in and just pump out a bunch of Q&A during that week that we'll be taking off. But should we just wrap up the podcast there for today?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Sorry if we went a little bit on a wild tangent. That was a really all over the shop podcast, but I kind of liked it. It was good fun, wasn't it?
It was all right.
But yeah, so thanks for joining us as well for the SpaceX launch. Geez, I'm going to go watch that on replay. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Hamish said, leave us discussion topics, questions for us to answer, and we'll be sure to chuck them into our special episode that should be coming out in probably a few weeks' time, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks very much, guys, for listening, joining us as always, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.